for last two classes I could not join. Okay, so now in the first lecture we discussed about just we introduced this subject, startup and venture management. Then we had some interaction on this subject domain, and then what all those things we are going to learn. So from that point of view, we discussed. And then now in today's lecture, yeah, as discussed, we'll give you a broad orientation, entrepreneurial orientation, because yes, little bit theory is also required actually, just to have our foundation strong, so that basically we can build story further. Okay, so initial 10-12 slides, I think it is more of on uh, you know theoretical background, just to understand this space, entrepreneurship, right? And then we'll start venture into this startup thing. And for that, what I thought of, instead of talking abstract in terms of what are those different phases of a startup, and then how we can identify the business opportunity, right? Because that's the first thing. So for that, just to have some kind of understanding of any of these sector, because in due course of time we would be discussing a different cases, right? And then the any startup which or some of the startup which we slightly discuss in the form of examples. So for that we need to have some kind of a you know understanding about any sector in which we want to do a business, right? So for that purpose, I just thought, since I am belonging to that space, a very brief overview I'll give, through which I will also share a different startup, how basically they have identified this space, and then how they have started, right? So that will give us a fair idea about how we need to think through before starting or venturing into in this domain, that is entrepreneurship, right? So that's how I planned today's lecture, right? So, and if you have anything in between, you can unmute, because I have logged in through mobile, so I can't see parallelly the chat option. So I request you to unmute and then you can speak, right? Or if it is just only kind of you would like to know further more into any topic or any subset of that topic, you can put it in the chat box, which later I can address, I can note. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So entrepreneur, so any one person basically who undertakes something, who take that kind of a moderate risk and then venture into that particular domain. Okay, so that concept or that word derived from the French, that is entrepreneur, and then German, that is Unternehmer, which means the to undertake. So there are different schools of thoughts, that means a different stalwart or the scholars who have given this kind of a concept. So to begin with, the Irish and then French economist, he has basically, firstly, he has introduced this a terminology called entrepreneur. So in his kind of authored book, the Essay on Nature of Trade in General, where he has mentioned that a person who make a conscious decision about how he can utilize resources, how he can allocate resources, and then based on that resources, he can get some kind of a yield, maybe in the form of money or maybe in the form of any values or any goods which he can create by investment. So further, after introduction of that terminology, Adam Smith, again the economist, in his kind of a book, Wealth of Nation, so in that book, he has defined the entrepreneur as an who has kind of a knowledge of any particular domain in which he wants to start, and then is hindered from becoming one only by insufficient capital. So the capital is most important. You may have knowledge, you must have identified very good kind of gap in the existing market or in that existing sector, but yes, you need to have a different resources which are required to monetize that particular identified gap, so which he has highlighted. And most importantly, he has also mentioned that the entrepreneur should have some kind of a long-term vision in which he can address the other social aspect as well. So social aspect, there are different ways to achieve it. By default, if you are starting some kind of a enterprise, definitely you would be engaging more staff. So by default, you are generating an employment that itself create a some kind of a social interest. Further, J.S. Mill, he has basically then popularized the term entrepreneurship in his book called Principles of Political Economy, where he has designated entrepreneur as a fourth factor of production. So when we talked about economics factor of production, we know land, labor, capital, right? So these are the three factor of production. And entrepreneur is one who basically judiciously utilize all these factor of production to monetize his or her idea and then generate wealth. Further, JB say he is further he says that one who fulfills the society's need, right? So, and that is where basically when we talked about opportunity identification, so need is fundamental, right? So there should be have some kind of a need in existing market. The consumers, they are demanding, let's say take example, so many things now, right? As I told you in the first lecture, consumer is now kingpin, right? So a lot of things he is demanding. So to fulfill those demand accordingly, backend different stakeholder as per needs, they worked out their strategy. The last time I gave example during this pandemic time, the traceability aspect, right? Consumer wants to know now how this particular stuff is coming to my home, right? So there should have some kind of a mechanism. So that's how the tech guys, these agri-tech startup guys, they identified, and then with the use of those high-end uh, techniques, tools, technologies, they have figured out that kind of a mechanism, and then they are providing that kind of a information to customer. By scanning QR code, I would be getting how this stuff is coming to me, right? So like that, it's depend on society's needs. Other example, in Bangalore, basically one startup they have started, we use umbrella in rainy season, right? But so what they have thought of, to that umbrella, instead of taking out our phone in rainy season, right, he has fixed one device, Bluetooth. So directly you can connect, and then you can talk without taking out your mobile from your pocket, right? So like that, it's a kind of a luxurious thing, but yes, there is a demand, and then they have fulfilled that kind of a demand, and then you know getting profit out of it. So like that, a small intervention could also make a lot of big difference in the market, right? If it is, if you identified and if you have started immediately, so that kind of a windfall profit, this kind of a startup they get, one who starts immediately. By that time, other people they join, then they have to work out strategy in terms of how efficiently I can reduce my cost of production, and then I can withstand in the market. So further, once launch of the product and then other competitor starts, then a different strategies would apply. So that's also we'll discuss in due course of time. But here he is stressing importance on need of the clientele group. Further, he also distinguish from two types of entrepreneur. One is entrepreneur, one who takes risk, moderate risk, and then launch any different product services, and then venture capitalist. So venture capitalist is, I think by this time as MBA students, you must be knowing it, but one who has capital, one who wants to invest in any other's idea, right? So they invest, and then based on the interest, they may get some kind of a profit, right? So in the case of the startup financing, the initial kind of financing, that's called as a bootstrapping. Maybe that entrepreneur or startup guy, he or she could mobilize fund from his friend, family, right? And then afterwards, the angel investors, one who, because during initial period of time, you know before actually implementation of that idea into practice and then commercialization of that product or service, in the initial phase, these angel investors, they basically invest, because in that case, those angel investors, they have very good kind of a the capital. But in such type of financing, it involves a lot of risk, because that idea, product, service may work, may not work, right? So that's how they, because, and they charge higher interest rate. And when that idea and then service gets stabilized, commercialized, then the venture capitalist, then they comes in picture, when the business wants to in a growth stage, in the expand stage, in the mature stage, these people, then venture capitalists, then they fund in. So again, in the financing part also, we have a separate kind of a session in this. In that, we would be discussing in detail the different stages wise the financing part to the entrepreneur or startup. But yes, he is giving more focus on the need aspect. This is also very interesting. The schools of thought given by Francis Walker, where he is giving more focus on the managerial capabilities. So the very best example, I think, that would suffice the purpose to understand this aspect, right? Ambani Group. So what has happened? What has happened in the case of Ambani Group? Can anybody tell me, by taking a clue from the managerial capabilities, right? Whether it is how basically Ambani Group have flourished, not flourished. So what is the case basically in the case of these Ambani brothers? Can anybody tell me? Yeah. Who's there?
Advait here. According to me, Mukesh Ambani is more productive than Anil Ambani.
Okay.
You say that.
Okay.
So because the ideas of Mukesh Ambani, if we relate with Jio,
yeah.
so that's good. But Reliance is totally in loss when Reliance is in market.
That's the catch actually. Yeah. Perfect advice. So here, and that is where basically he has highlighted that point. The managerial capabilities is very, very important basically, right? When that two brothers, means Dhirubhai Ambani, when these divided the business, Mukesh and Anil, why Anil is not kind of growing, why his strategies are not working out. Yeah, I'm just saying it is, there could be n number of reasons for that, right? But leadership matter. That's what actually it's the best example to, I think, we can understand, and then we could think through that example, right? So leadership, his or her capabilities, managerial capabilities, decisions, all these things matter the most. And that is where basically in startup case as well. So maybe I have found out the one idea, but to monetize that particular idea, I may not be competent enough to crash that idea, right? Implement that idea. So I may need some kind of a like-minded and right-minded people, so that I can I can monetize that. And that is where founder, co-founder, that kind of terminologies and that kind of teamwork started in this case since last decade or so, when we we are promoting this startup ecosystem in India, right? So nobody is perfect, right? So you need to identify that kind of people, and that is where in startup case also it is the most important, how you are identifying your core team and then further your management team, right? So that is more important. I think that example suffice the purpose as of now here in this slide. Just to conclude now, the last part of these are different kind of schools of thought, and then so Joseph Scumter, so he has basically then finally redefined the concept of entrepreneur and then entrepreneurship, and then how basically in 21st century basically the entrepreneur he or she has to behave, or he or she has to undertake a different activity. So he is saying that entrepreneur as an innovator, because innovation is something that makes a difference in the market, right? Yes, need is important. You need to have that kind of a sector understanding, and then clear cut identification of that need, and then to mitigate, to give response to that kind of a need, you need to have maybe different product, maybe a service if it is service oriented need, right? And then how it is distinguishing from the existing competitors, that is also more important, right? So you have to be something innovative in your business, and particularly in the startup case, that innovation is the most important, plus the technological aspect of it, because that idea that product services should be scalable, that scalability part is also important, right? And that is where in the startup definition also they have mentioned, right, the innovation scalability is important. So the function of entrepreneur is to reform or revolutionize the pattern of production by exploiting an invention, or more generally an untried technological possibility for producing a new commodity or producing an old one in a new way, right? So it could be a process, or it could be anything in the composition of that particular product, by opening a new source of supply of material or any new outlet for products, by recognizing an industry and so on, right? So that's how the complete kind of definition here we can see in the case of Joseph Scumter. Now, just how we can now in concrete way we can define this entrepreneur. So one who basically kind of come up with some kind of product and services by destroying the existing economic order, means the whatever the the competitors are there in that particular space, right? So how he is basically coming with some kind of a creative disruption, we say, when this startup ecosystem started coming up in a big way. So a lot of people are coming up with different products. So that's we call it as a creative disruptions are happening right now in industry and in this entrepreneurship domain, where basically we could find out different products and services, right? Either they are creating in the form of maybe new organization, or maybe even a sole proprietor. But yes, in the case of sole proprietor, it is not a startup per se, but he or she can say I am an entrepreneur, right? Then maybe like JB say, that definition we also seen in that particular slide also. Economic agent who unites all other means of production, and then he is judiciously utilizing all those resources, and then coming out with some kind of a viable product. Mackland. So I think in your, maybe you must be also having course called organizational behavior, or maybe HRM. So in that you must have maybe, or you will go through Mackland. Different theories of motivations are there, right? So in that theory of motivations point of view, Mackland, he has basically defined from a need for achievement, need for affiliation, and need for power, that point of view. So he has that theory of need for achievement, need for power, and affiliation. So the entrepreneur, one who basically who has a lot of need for achievement. So he is achievement oriented rather than other two part, right? Is affiliation and then power, right? So that's how he has defined from that point of view, that entrepreneur, one who likes to take a moderate reasonable risk and wants to know how to turn out as quickly as possible. So he is having high sense of achievement. Okay, so after this entrepreneur, now entrepreneurship is more of on the process part. So it's a process by which basically whatever the knowledge we could gain, maybe through this, maybe through your graduation and now through this management education. So one who basically applies his or her a professional, knowledge, skills, which he or she has gained through his kind of educational or from his kind of informal education as well, that is day-to-day life, from where basically we could get a lot of learning. That's how the lifelong learning we say, right? So it's application of accumulative knowledge, one which accumulates over the period of time, the skill set, one which accumulates over a period of time, maybe through a formal and then non-formal education. And then we then convert based on our understanding, we convert. That's how we monetize our own ideas, and then we launch that kind of a product and services by launching any form of organization. So what could be the form of organization? That is the different types of the legal entities, which we can discuss further. And then what he can do then, he just pursue his whatever the vision, mission which he has at the time of conceptualization, that particular idea, right? So he aspired to achieve that kind of a vision and mission, and by which he then generate wealth, employment, and then social good as well. So that social good is also very much important, because now it becomes a mandatory also, right? So how it is become a mandatory now? So Indian Companies Act, right? So Indian Companies Act 1956, under which we can register and then we can run as a private company, limited liability partnership firm, all those stuff. So we can legalize our entity, that is Indian Companies Act. And then in 2013, basically that company law got some kind of amendment. So then it became a mandatory that the big, the private players, basically, they have to now, out of their profit, they have to spend 2% as a corporate social responsibility. This is CSR, right? So it becomes now mandatory to invest in some kind of a social activity. So it could be depend on that particular private firm. So now and then what is present scenario in this domain as far as to utilize the CSR fund. So many private firms, particularly big corporate players, they have started launched their own foundations, like Reliance Foundation, Tata Trust, right? So and then Tata ka to different kind of wing is there, basically those who are into such kind of a transformational journey in the rural areas, right? So a lot of initiatives they have started. So many corporate houses, they have started their own foundations, and then through which basically they are routing their 2% profit as an CSR fund to their own foundation, and then they are implementing a lot of activities at the field level, village level, rural areas. Okay, so now just 2-3 slides more. Entrepreneurship. So this is also one a concept basically evolved by in Wipro company, basically, and then subsequently in ITC as well. So what it says, basically, this concept given by the Gifford Pinchot is also very good in concept, entrepreneurship, and then it has importance in this entrepreneurship domain, in startup domain. So that's what I'm discussing. So once we start a business, so a lot of ups and down, and then market, competitors, market forces. So you need to, the entrepreneur or the startup founder, they need to be continuously, they need to work on their business plan. They need to work on their business strategies. And then of course, always they need to work on the kind of opportunities, right? So anything as per the sector, anything happens, that will have directly, indirectly effect on the business, right? So now with the example in this sector which I'm discussing, agriculture, will also discuss how it is impacted, right? So so to continuously cope up with this kind of a change, right, across the corner, so the entrepreneur, the management staff, they discuss with their subordinate, they discuss with their team, maybe at the ground level team particularly. So through them, they just take a regular feedback, what kind of challenges they are facing, right? And then they allow some kind of a discussion with the ground level staff team, and then the subordinates team, middle level team. So it's a kind of a free will discussion, just to discuss a lot of ideas. So what will work, what will not work, or if it is existing strategy, why it is not working. So that kind of a practice, these corporate players, they do undertake, so that the people, those who are involving directly with the customer, directly at the field level, probably they could, by the process of this discussion, probably they could come out with some kind of a solution which may hit, or that kind of address the issues which any company, he or she, that firm is facing. So that the Wipro started, and then subsequently ITC, and then a lot of these now, it became a practice. So that's called it the brainstorming session, or maybe a focus group discussion. So as per the company, they call it as a different nomenclatures out there, right? But that concept called entrepreneurship, right? So, and then if that particular intervention, if it is the important, then that company can finance, and then they can open up a separate subsidiary. So in detail, I can just give an example of ITC only. So Indian Tobacco Company, right? So while so they have started one agribusiness division, right? And then in that, Mr. Siva Kumar, so he got one idea that so the ITC, they are involving in they were involving in contract farming. So this was the case in Madhya Pradesh. So he got idea while interacting with the some of the farmers in Madhya Pradesh. I don't know, that is, the farmers, they are facing a lot of advisory extension and advisory services type issues. So then he could thought of, let's say, have some kind of intervention from the company side, where basically company can provide all those stuff, because information is the power basically. And then that's how the concept came, the e-Chopal. So somebody's mic is on, kindly switch off please, mute please. So that e-Chopal concept started. So he discussed this idea, and then they have developed that kind of then prototype, where basically they that e-Chopal will have some kind of computer. It's one office in a village itself, where they will have a desktop with high-end internet facility and all those, through which, and then all those farmers of that particular village, their database would be created in their application, and then through that database on their mobile phone, they can provide that kind of a extension and advisory services. Because for each and every crop, agriculture university, they have developed that kind of a package of practices. Once sowing is done, so when to sow, when to harvest, that everything, that protocol is set. That's we called it in agriculture package of practices. So when it is, once it is sown, sowing is done, so from that days, all those what things needs to be done, it is set protocol is there, right? So as per that database, they used to send a message on their telephone, whether it is subsequently, earlier it was text message, and then they have started interactive voice responses. And then if any problem that can come to those farmers can come to that, e-Chopal Sanchalak, nothing but operated by a progressive farmer or maybe a rural youth of that particular village, got training from this ITC, and then he is in a position to answer their query. If not, then upload the image, and then go, that application goes to, image goes to that database, and then expert, then they answer. So within 24 hours they answer the queries. So like that, they have started now separate this kind of a division, and then a lot of through this basically they have captured a lot of market in this space, eChopal, that is extension and advisory services. Now it's eChopal 4.0 version they have now recently they have launched, where basically they are now providing all those integrated services which any farmer they require as far as marketing is concerned, and then weather and advisory services as well, right? So that's how this works. So now quickly, the entrepreneur manager, yes, most of the time people get confused with this entrepreneur vis-a-vis manager. But entrepreneur, as I told you, one who take that kind of a moderate risk and then start enterprise, and then he appoints a different management staff, that is different manager, maybe a production manager, marketing manager, social media manager, right, HR. So they would be having a different department, and to look after that, he can appoint a manager or maybe a senior manager, general manager, all those hierarchy, all those you know career progression, all those would be there in, as per it varies company to company, right? So one who take that kind of a risk and then venture into, that's entrepreneur, and manager one who basically work as per the roles and responsibility assigned by the entrepreneur. So I think there is not much kind of things to discuss. Okay, so now just last slide on this theoretical part. uh, Entrepreneurial competencies. So here I just thought to uh, you know go through this list. So there are n number of lists we can, as per the personality, one can identify what kind of entrepreneurial characteristics he or she has. Let's say the Tata Birla, Adani, Ambani. So after analyzing those personality, one can identify what kind of the traits or the skill set, competencies he or she has, right? So the broadly, these are the, I have listed out few which are key competencies which should be possessed by, or if it is not, but it can be developed over the period of time, right? It's so entrepreneur is not by default or maybe by born he became an entrepreneur. It's not like that, right? So entrepreneurial characteristics one can develop over the period of time, right? So yeah. And then through there are some cases. Through those cases I will share. So since now I forgot to ask the management, but now please, anybody can, if you have some kind of a Google group or maybe a WhatsApp group, kindly share link, share email ID of that, so that I can share cases in an advance, so that you can go through it and then we can discuss, right? So as of now I'm not aware about how I can share my PPTs or my reading material well in advance, based on which we can directly discuss in the class, right? So you just answer this part in the chat box, right? Okay. So now these entrepreneurial competencies. So in the next lecture itself, I'll share one case study. Through that we can discuss in detail, right? And then the opportunity identification as well. So entrepreneurial characteristics and opportunity identification, on that there is one case, right? So the creativity, innovation, opportunity seeking and initiative, leadership, team building, risk-taking, decision-making ability. So if you have any, doubt on this part, you can put it in the chat box, which I can take later. Motivation to excel, problem solving, goal orientation. Self-efficacy is terms of, how far I am competent enough to, handle any particular portfolio. Internal locus of control, that is how far again I'm competent enough to, it's more of on my self confidence on having control on different aspects, like I may be having a different verticals, right? So as a founder, as an entrepreneur, I should have control on all the verticals, right? So at least I'm it is not required that I should be knowing each and every aspect in technicalities of that particular product and services, but yes, I should know a fundamental so that I can basically guide my team, and I should control, all those operations. So that is how the internal locus of control, that it says how far I'm confident enough to have a control on my different verticals, or maybe a product range, or maybe a service range, could be anything, right? Persistence, persuasion, and networking. So that's the important. Okay, so that's about the some kind of a theoretical background, just to set a context for this space, this subject, that is entrepreneurial orientation, right? So again, now this is also further to start with my the next presentation, linked to this domain, that is sector understanding. So I think in MBA, you must be having the separate course on this supply chain value chain. But yes, I just would like to highlight the two key aspect of it, right? So in the case of supply chain, right, the farmers. So let's say, can anybody tell me the supply chain value chain ka difference, so that I can directly jump into the next slide. Supply chain value chain. Anybody? Have you gone through as of now this concept, this subject?
Yes, sir. In supply chain, for any kind of business, we provide related material like dairy business. If I have, so what is required for dairy, like milk, then we provide to the company. Then they process with milk, and we will get pasteurized milk and cheese, butter, etc. And they
So
provide to
what
the
is the
dealer.
supply chain into it? What is the supply chain into it? Let's say farmer.
Farmer is a supply, and
Yeah.
wholesalers are the suppliers.
So is there any course
From
as of now in supply chain management in this?
yes, yes, we have separate subject, supply chain
Okay, fine.
management.
Perfect. And what is value chain?
No, don't know till value chain. Just I'm reading
Fine.
now.
But that supply chain course already started, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, perfect. So now, as you rightly said, but the producer, since you have taken example dairy, right? So milk producer, right? So those who are having these kind of dairy animals, the farmer, so he is the source, that is the producer, right? So he may require n number of inputs, like feed, fertilizer, sorry, feed, fodder, right? And then veterinary services. So all these comes as an input, right? So there are different input provider, right? So that input provider is also one entity, right, in the supply chain, which are providing an input to farmer, right? And then based on that, then farmer is providing all those inputs to animal, and then milking. So milk as an output of dairy farm. And then let's say individual farmer, I'm an individual farmer, there is no any network as such like Amul, right? And that's how the social enterprise, I think in last lecture also somebody says that we need to understand more on social enterprise, so we'll have that, don't worry. So the individual farmer, so you must have seen in your village or in your area, so these milk producer, maybe they are going to a dairy, or maybe they are in that village, maybe somebody has started that kind of a collection center, and then he is taking from the milk from all those farmers of that region, of that village, and then maybe he is giving it to a maybe a dairy which is private dairy, or maybe a cooperative dairy, right? So here, what is the supply chain? So the input service provider, I think that's understood. So input service provider is giving it to a farmer, some kind of input. From farmer, that milk is going to that particular middleman, those who are there in that village or maybe outside. Okay, he is coming and he is collecting milk, and then that middleman is giving it to that collected milk either to a private players or maybe to a cooperative dairy. So that itself is become a supply chain. Now further it goes to maybe that dairy, private or cooperative dairy is processing, and then maybe they are giving selling at the liquid milk, or maybe pouch milk, or maybe they are coming out with a different product range. So further it goes to maybe wholesaler, retailer, or maybe they're having their own outlet, and from there they are selling it, right? So like that, the people, those who are involved in this kind of a distribution of any product and services, that's become your supply chain. So now what happens from the business point of view now? So each and every middleman in this chain, what they generally do, they give more focus on cost aspect, cost. At the minimum cost, you know, I will bargain to my, let's say that middleman, what he will do, he will bargain with the farmer, you know, he will say your milk is not good, so on and so forth, right? Commodity wise, it varies their interaction, their negotiation, right? Then he will take at the minimum price. So he will try to negotiate as minimum as possible so that he can bargain further to a next entity in that supply chain. So who is there? A private dairy or maybe a cooperative dairy. So it's depend on my own network how I transact. So there is also very good a case on procurement part as well. And what are those different factors which involves in such kind of a activity, that is procurement, right? So that's also I'll separate case which we can discuss in detail, right? So for the next entity, what I will do, so I have this much volume of milk, you know, that volume is there now. So I will say the fat percent is very high, and so on and so forth, right? SNF percentage is very high, because that's the two criteria based on which milk quality judge, right? So commodity wise varies. So I'll try to negotiate more, and then what I will do, whatever the, you know, the expenditure I made in terms of procurement from this n number of farmers, I'll try to add my own margin, right? And then I will sell it to. So it's in supply chain, it's all about margin business only, right? So the all the actors or the entity in the supply chain, starting from the farmers to, let's say, to consumer, everything they give focus on cost aspect of it. At the minimum price पे procure करना ना, higher price पे मेरा margin add करके बेचना. But when it comes to the supply chain part of it, sorry, value chain part of it, so here this entity either they may have integrated kind of setup where basically they together they worked out the profit for each of them, right? Or maybe a separate one startup, maybe let's say Ninja Card, Dehat. So a lot of supply chain startup, they are there now, right? So what they do, so they develop their own integrated kind of a setup, right? So whatever the you know, a process is required to reach that particular you know, product from a production point to a consumption point, they will have their own setup, right? So that they can minimize the margin and then they can increase their business, right? So it's depend on how much capital I am having to begin with, right? So all those resources are important, capitals are important, right? So here these people, maybe a integrated network of these different middlemen, or maybe a one entity itself. Okay, so whatever the process is required from collecting from farmers to giving it to a consumer, a different milk and milk products, right? So whatever it is required, either I am having my own stuff, or maybe I can tie up with a different houses, and then together we co-create some kind of a value in the eyes of consumer. So here we'll give more focus on what is the demand for milk and milk product, what kind of a product the consumer they are expecting, right? So from the consumer's point of view, I'll try to come out with that kind of a product, and then I can quote whatever price I can quote. Of course, it is, you know, affordable to consumer one thing, and then it's depend on the competitor analysis as well, right? So all those parameters. But important point, the value. So consumer, they are ready if they satisfied, if they like your product, they are ready to pay basically, right? So since the dairy ka example we are discussing, there is a one a dairy farm in Pune district itself, near I think Manchar, Rajgurunagar, you know, Bhagyalakshmi Dairy Farm. It is the Asia's second largest dairy farm. You can Google it, you will get it all the details. Bhagyalakshmi Dairy Farm, Asia's second largest. It was first only, but Sri Lanka में एक बहुत बड़ा dairy farm. I forgot that Sri Lankan dairy farm का name that became up first. So you know what, the dairy Bhagyalakshmi Dairy Farm का milk का brand है Proud of Cow. Proud of Cow. Okay. So they are selling their milk at the rate of 110 rupees liter. 110 rupees liter. So who is their customer? Of course, businessman, the film star, the cricketers, right? So they are giving it in Pune or Mumbai market, right? So that's how. So you need to have that kind of a market segment. I think in marketing course, you will learn all those segmentation strategy and all those stuff, right? So here, the startup guys, the entrepreneur, businessman, they give more focus on the research and development, product testing, marketing, or trend analysis, could be a social trend analysis, could be a product trend analysis, right? So all those parameters. So value chain. So best example now, just, and then I think that's fair enough to understand. And in detail integrity, you may have in their respective courses. So now, in the wake of this COVID-19, right, Amul, they have first month, they have launched Haldi milk. Nobody ever thought of. So what is their need of, let's say, have a Haldi milk in the market, right? I can always have a milk and then I can, you know, mix Haldi and then I can drink, right? So what is the fun in having that kind of a product into a market? But yes, COVID has kind of, brought that kind of a market for such kind of a product. And then that's how Haldi milk now into a market. Amul started, and then subsequently other dairy, they have also started, right? So that's how you need to the capitalize market as per the kind of scenario, as per the kind of trend. So the entrepreneur has to always has to eye on that kind of opportunity. So the COVID-19 itself is very, it's a kind of a pandemic, a lot of that happen, but yes, entrepreneur's eyes is on market. How I can, come out with some kind of an innovative product in the market so that I can, monetize my idea and then I can earn more profit. Haldi milk, right? I think it's the best example. So now, when it comes to the value chain, so there are, as I told you, in any kind of a business, whether it is dairy or any kind of a business, definitely it needs some kind of inputs, right? For dairy, sweet home, maybe a milk. Milk is the requirement as a raw milk. So based on that, he can venture into different products. So like that. So the core, you see the middle chain, the core chain actor, the farmer, the collector, who is middleman. So in collector also there are n number of categories are there. Maybe a local ertia at the village level, right? Local ertia, right? Middleman. Maybe a licensed trader, maybe from the mandi, sophisticated, that is the license mandi, which comes under the State Agriculture Marketing Board, that is agriculture produce market committees, right? So in each district we have these APMC mandi, right? So there we find the licensed trader, right? License given by the marketing board, the respective state marketing board. So there are n number of players within this collector group as well. Then there would be a processor. As per the commodities also, we have a processing manufacturing firm, wholesaler, one who buy in a bulk, and then retailer, one who buys in limited order based on the demand of the consumer and then sell it to the consumer, right? So these are the kind of supply chain broadly. And then each of these players, they need some kind of a business development services, maybe input supply, infrastructure, communication, and so on and so forth, right? And in the higher level, it is always laws, policies, standard, institution, maybe a government who are basically regulating all these businesses, maybe private and public businesses, right? So under all those, under which that particular enterprises, they are registering their business. So as per that, they need to provide that kind of a compliance services as well. Maybe if it is a limited liability company, if it is, partnership firm, so whatever their partnership deed, whatever their, bylaws, articles of association, it is there. So as per that, they need to comply, right? So it's all governed by all those policies, rules, and regulations. So these are the different levels one can see in terms of these supply chain and value chain. So far as whatever I had discussed today, is there any doubt? Is there any, confusion or anything which you would like to discuss so that we can discuss?
No, sir, it's fine, sir. Sir, and you
Perfect.
guys share study material with Anand sir.